My name is Erin Davis and welcome to my channel. I've decided that my first video to sort of start off the reboot of my new channel is going to be a discussion of the controversies surrounding the song Brown Skin Girl. For anyone who isn't aware or has been living under a rock of some sort, Brown Skin Girl is one of the songs that was a part of Beyonce's new album, The Gift, that was released in tandem with the new live action, The Lion King. And unsurprisingly, it's struck a nerve within the Black community and outside of the Black community as well. Part of the reason why it struck such a nerve is that within the United States and elsewhere in the world, there are a lot of issues with colorism. And although colorism isn't a new topic or subject, it definitely has been a hot topic as of late within the last few years. Part of the reason why it's such an issue is that it is a product of racism. And for anyone who doesn't know, colorism is essentially any discrimination or prejudice against someone for their skin tone. Typically, the system of colorism favors people with lighter skin and generally, as a result, looser curl patterns, and finds people of darker skin less favorable. And this, of course, is a huge issue within the Black community and has been for centuries. Colorism, unfortunately, still yields a lot of real-world implications, especially within the United States. Currently, research shows that people with lighter skin tend to have a lot of advantages still, particularly when it comes to the ability to find a job or job security, and even coming down to the likelihood to be arrested, and the length of time received in relation to, and the length of time served in relation to maximum prison sentences. A Vilanova study, which I believe was published in 2011, but I'm going to have to check on that, stated that after they followed 12,000 Black women between 1995 and 2009, they came to conclude that the perceived skin tone of the offender by the correctional officer or arresting officer did actually greatly affect a discrepancy between maximum prison sentences and actual time served, which is a huge implication when you begin to think about how families are going to be more likely to be torn apart and kept separate based on the skin color of the offender. I honestly think one of the most disappointing parts of this entire conversation is that it has to be a conversation at all. I think a lot of times within our community, we tend to forget why we have issues with colorism in the first place. And I think a great example of that is the Willie Lynch letter, or the Willie Lynch speech, which, although it has had a lot of issues when it comes to its authenticity being called into question, and even the reality of whether or not Willie Lynch exists, I still believe that the message within the letter and the speech has important implications, because at the end of the day, there's still things that are affecting us. And I think it's really unfortunate that it's affecting us and that we're allowing it to affect us, because at the end of the day, that's what's happening. We're allowing this made-up, fabricated division that truly doesn't have anything to do with anything continue to divide us as a community. If you ask me, we have a lot more things to worry about than the differences between skin color and whether or not one skin color makes you more attractive or favorable than the other. Because at the end of the day, we're all Black, and it's really time for us to just stop perpetuating this idea that lighter skin is better and darker skin is not, and come together as one cohesive group. Because the longer we stay divided, the more difficult our lives as a community are going to be. Before I sort of wrap up here, one of the last things I wanted to discuss was the need for someone to make a light-skinned girl's cover of the song with the music video. And I don't want to talk about it too much because it's absolute foolishness, and the move on her part was pretty obtuse. But what I will say about it is that part of recovering from our issues with colorism and moving forward is recognizing that darker skinned people do still tend to be disadvantaged within our community and with society as a whole. And if we as a community are going to move forward, we have to move forward together. Otherwise, we don't have a lot of options and we won't make it very far. And I'm not really sure what her intentions were when it came to making the cover. I'm hoping it was just sort of a lapse in judgment. But at the end of the day, I hope that she and anyone else who thought that that cover was necessary can come to understand that realistically, lighter-skinned individuals already get a lot of attention and have a lot of advantages because of their skin color. Beyonce didn't make this song to say lighter-skinned people aren't beautiful, because at the end of the day, no one says that. She made the song to uplift people who are historically and traditionally seen as unfavorable, unattractive, ugly, and less than. So when you go and try to bring the attention back to people who already get all of the attention and advantages, that's when we as a community are going to have a big problem. So moving forward, I think I and anyone else would greatly appreciate it if we could be a little bit more receptive to this late but advantageous movement to bring more attention and advantages to people and women with darker skin tones. Because at the end of the day, we've been behind trying to play catch up. That's all that's happening. And once we can play catch up, everyone else gets to move forward. Some of you might not understand this, but it wasn't until very recently that there was this huge movement working to uplift women of darker skin tones. Because for a long time, we weren't very well represented in the media. When black people were first largely put into the media, it was a lot of lighter-skinned people with looser curl patterns. And that was supposed to be our representation. But at the end of the day, yes, that was great, and I'm glad that we got something, as well as everyone else is glad that we got something, but it wasn't sufficient enough representation of the many shades that the black community is comprised of. Alright guys, that is the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching and listening. I hope this was a relatively thought-provoking conversation and that you can continue these conversations amongst your friends and family and anyone else who's open to having it. I haven't made a YouTube video in about 3 years, so I hope this went well and I hope you enjoyed it. Please feel free to like and subscribe and leave a comment about anything you thought I could have done better, anything you liked, or any topic you want me to discuss in the future. Stay tuned for my next video, and thanks for watching.